Welcome to On Topic, a series of conversations with experts, distinguished scholars, and practitioners on issues of importance to Alaska. I'm Jim Johnson, president of the University of Alaska, and in this segment, we explore the topic of technology and higher education with my guest, Jamie Cassup, Chief Education Evangelist at Google. You know, Alaska is a very large state with an extremely small population. Now, most folks live in the urban areas, which are online. I think even you would say, okay, you guys in Anchorage are online.
Yeah.
But a lot of people live in remote places across the state that are not online. And as a result, we experience real challenges educationally, in terms of healthcare and commerce, those sorts of things. What are you seeing in other rural parts of the world that might apply to us here in Alaska?
Yeah, it is a problem, but it's also a temporary problem, and in the large scheme of things. And what I mean by that is, if you think about digitalization, if you think about 1995 as the date that a new world was born, right? The digitalization economy. If you think about that and compare it to other times in history that something major like that happened, the Industrial Revolution, for example. It would be the equivalent of the Industrial Revolution of saying, yeah, that's great that you have all these factories, but build the factories out here in the rural communities, right? How long would it take to do that? And I think the same thing is happening now. I think that we are starting to see solutions. And again, this is a global problem because for us, for the world, a lot of it has to do with transportation and infrastructure issues. You can't even get to some of these places. And when you get there, they don't have electricity. So some big issues when it comes to rural places around the world. But I think that, again, it's a temporary solution because you're starting to see some solutions. At Google, this Project Loon, where we're launching balloons into space to provide internet access. Other companies are launching drones into space, satellites into space. Again, these are things that are starting to get built. So internet access, in 1995, 1% of the world was online. We're at 50%. In the US, 14% of people had high-speed internet access. Today, it's 90%. That last 10% is hard in everything, right? And so I just think it takes longer to get there.
What's next for Google?
I think that the focus, and Sundar has talked about this, is machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I always find that word, I giggle every time I hear the word artificial intelligence because it's not intelligent at all, right? If you compare what we can do with technology to the human brain, I forget what the ratio is, but I think we're at like 1/100,000th of the power of a human brain, right? So we're nowhere near intelligence. But I think that space around machine learning and artificial intelligence and what we can do with that, I don't even think we scratched the surface of that potential. It's this narrative of the world is ending because robots and automation are coming to take your job. And I think it's an opportunity to eliminate process work, eliminate work that doesn't seem necessary, to focus on other types of work that align more to what motivates human beings. And I think that's exciting.
What's next for you? What excites you, Jamie? You bring a lot of energy to your work, and as an education evangelist, there's got to be something on your horizon, or probably 8 things on your horizon. Right. But what's out there that's interesting to you right now?
I don't think we're doing enough to capitalize on the capacity and capability that students have. I just read this fascinating article about young entrepreneurs and the barriers that they face. Just from a business perspective, right? Like if you're 18 years old with an amazing idea, you can't even rent a car to go to a meeting, right? You can't get a bank loan. You can't, you got to get your mother to sign off on your bank loan for your business. Like all these barriers that young entrepreneurs have. So this actually just happened 2 days ago when I read this article. I'm like, there's got to be a solution here that we can create. What kind of business needs to exist to provide young entrepreneurs with the capital and the skills and the resources that they need? Why do we assume that you can only be smart when you're 21 years old or rent a car when you're 20? Like, where did that come from, right? So one thing that I'm excited about is young entrepreneurs or young people with great ideas that have a passion, because this generation is different than previous generations. And we always say that about previous generations, but this generation is literally different because of the time that they were born into, right? This generation that's 18 years old today, the ones that were born around the year 2000, don't know what the world looked like before Wi-Fi and tablets and laptops and Google, right? All these things that are available to them, they think about the world in from a different point of view. This is a generation that has faced nothing but problems and problems and problems, and now they're getting to the age where they want to create solutions. And the kids in Florida are a great example of that passion and what you see there. So I think that this is a generation that is a bunch of problem solvers. So I want to focus on how do we help them. How do we not create more barriers for them and instead give them opportunity? That's one space that I'm interested in. The other one that I'm interested in is this idea of whether they're young people or older people that are focused on building products and solutions for people of color. And what I mean by that is the African American market is $1 trillion market. The Latino market is $1 trillion market. Who's building products and solutions for those groups? And it's not going to be a firm that has 99%, white people in it. Like that's not where the solution is going to come from. So how do we diversify those companies, number one, but also how do we create opportunities for those groups that have different ideas that might not make sense to someone who doesn't have that background or might not understand that culture? Like how do we create opportunities for that? So in the business side, that's what I'm interested in. And I've been an advisor to a number of companies, and I'm adding some more where I can help them think about these things.
Well, Jamie, thank you. Your responses to these questions, the ideas you bring, and more than that, the passion you bring and the commitment you bring to educating people and providing opportunity for people, diverse people from all across the country and all across the world, is really exciting. And we really appreciate that you took the time to share those ideas and that enthusiasm with us here at the University of Alaska. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. The thing that I live by is that it's a personal passion because it's a personal experience. I believe that education disrupts poverty, right? And that is true. And I get to meet thousands of people who are just like me, who come up to me after events and like, hey, I grew up just like you did, and look what I'm doing today. And that's powerful, and we don't talk enough about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.